Welcome to Canada's Property Management Podcast, your number one resource for investing, managing, and maximizing the value of your real estate assets. And now, here's your hosts, Carla Brown and Adrian Schultz, Canada's rental property experts.
Okay, Adrian, here we are again. Today we are going to be talking about a question that we get posed all the time, and that is, well, how much does professional property management cost anyways?
Wow, what a topic. You know, in Winnipeg, we're really cheap, so let's start there.
Well, then you are going to be a good one that I can try to sell my services to, I guess, today, or at least make you aware of how they're going to benefit you as an investor. So let's maybe start there. When you're an investor, Adrian, you're coming to me, you want to know about property management. Usually the first question I get asked is how much it costs, which, you know, it's kind of like not usually the first thing I want to talk about. So then I would usually turn it a little bit and say, well, what are you looking for? So when you come to a professional property management company as an investor, what are you hoping to gain from that?
Well, I think to begin with, if the unit is vacant, and I think that a lot of people are seeking management when they have a vacant unit because something's occurred. Not always, but many times. So I would want to know, what are the leasing fees, the cost to get it filled? What are the ongoing property management fees? And then, you know, are there additional maintenance or administrative fees, et cetera? And, you know, what's my overall management cost on either a monthly or on an annualized basis? And what's included in that cost? Because from the conversations over the last 10, 15 years with different property managers across the country is, boy, oh boy, there sure is a range of what people are charging. And I'm curious, given that RPM is a national brand, what is sort of the scale that one can expect to pay for professional property management? Right.
So all of our offices are independently owned and operated, so we do not, and we're dealing with real estate acts and competition bureaus, so we are very careful that we can't actually fix all of these costs across Canada. Okay, so I'll give you a range of what we see, and we see anywhere from about 8% to 14%. Seems like a big range, but really it is big as you move across the country, that you can expect to pay for property management on a single family property management space. So that's very different than the multifamily, which I know you have some experience in. So on the multifamily, would you say that's as low as maybe 5% at times?
Yeah, multifamily residential, depending on the province and depending if there's on-site staff, and depending, of course, on the unit count. Now, you know, multifamily in my world, that's 20 and 30 unit apartment blocks or more, and all the way up to 200 and 300 units in a multifamily community. So that range, they do seem to shake out in that 5%, but the range is between 4 and 6. And again, is, you know, what is the fee applied to? Is it just incoming rents? Is it laundry? Is it parking? Is it leasing fees? There are a lot of variables to be considered, just like in the single family duplex, triplex, fourplex world. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to primarily talk about single family today. Yes. Just that's the space that we primarily focus on, although some of our offices do some multiplex facilitation as well. So what can you expect to be covered? The way I like to explain this to investors is that you can expect that base management fee is going to cover all of those predictable types of things that need to happen. So it's predictable that you're going to have to collect rent. It's predictable that we're going to have to answer inquiries from tenants. It's predictable that we're going to have to do pay the invoices and the maintenance that are coming in on the property and send you an owner statement and pay that out to you. The things that are not predictable when it comes to primarily maintenance, that's the big one, is that there are going to be other costs that are incurred because those are things that are just not a predictable call type of service. And you have some properties, you know, when you manage 400 properties, it's funny how you can actually name off the top 10 that you actually have to be doing things with all the time. And then you have some properties like, oh my, like besides regular inspections, we don't have to do anything on those properties. So that's how I like to best explain it, to set the mindset, is that when you pay that percentage, so let's just take 10% today, that is not necessarily going to be the only thing you ever see as an expense on your property, because we're going to be doing some maintenance. We're going to be doing preventative maintenance. We're going to be doing things that are going to help hold the value of your property as an investor that you would have to be doing if you were living in that home yourself. And there would be an added cost to that. So that's how I try to wrap around that. And then, so the cost. So then people are like, wow, 10%, that sounds like maybe so much. And like, I could do it myself for that. So then I like to really break it down and say something like, let's say you're charging $2,000 a month for rent. Okay. So now you're going to be paying us 10%. That's, simplify it, cowboy math, I like to say $500 a week. Okay, so $500 a week is what the rent is on that particular property. And you're going to have our services, say just it's 40 hours a week that we're going to give you, which in the end is way more than that, right? Because we are essentially on call. So 24% of the time it takes to manage a property managers on call for 24/7, but let's say 40 hours a week, that is going to end up costing you as an investor $1.25 an hour. And if we say it's 24/7, now we're down to 29 cents an hour, which then makes me think that I really need to increase my fees, quite honestly. But but for you, for the investor,
what a silly topic for us to pick. All of a sudden, our management fees are going up.
Yeah, it's really breaking it down. What are our management fees? They're 29 cents an hour.
You called it was that Cowboy Math?
Cowboy Math, yes.
Okay,
yes,
so for those on our eastern or western seaboard, Cowboy Math is what prairie people call a calculator.
A very simplified calculator, because I'm all about making things simple, that it's not so complex.
KISS, but, I think, was the old term. Keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, out of that 29 cents an hour, I'm essentially paying for software, technology. You know, it is the main thing that we need to deal with here in the PM space. So there's a lot of cost to that. The liability insurance, the office rent, I'm employing staff, I've got phone, I've got vehicle expenses. All of these things come into play. So I just ask the investor to think about what their time is worth and where they want to spend their time, because everybody's time is money. You think it's like it's not costing you anything if you do it yourself. It is, because you could be doing something else with that time. And then how do you feel about going in front of a hearing at a tenancy board? How does that make you feel? Keeping up with the regulations. Who's going to advocate for you as the investor when you're doing it alone? Those are things that I like the investor to think about. And it's not to sound salesy, but it is the reality of what you're going to deal with when you're dealing with a landlord-tenant situation. You're getting into investment real estate, and realizing, is this a cost or is it actually an income source, right? I mean,
well, and it's an investment, right? A management fee in many ways is you're investing in your own time and in your own life by offloading something that can be much better executed by a professional company.
Exactly. And then, you know, the time that you're spending, I mean, I know you have a wife and you have 3 young children. As an investor, do you want to spend your time building relationships with the tenants that are in your property, which is very important? Tenants don't just want you to collect their rent on the first. They want to know that you are a human being that cares about them. So do you want to sit there and try to connect with them, or would you rather be spending the afternoon with your wife and three kids?
Well, I'm completely occupied by trying to make my 5-week-old smile at me, so my time is 100% taken at the moment. I'm reminded of something, and I remember in the past talking about flat fee and management fee based on collected income. And although there are some points to be made about the predictability of flat fee, I believe that a management fee based on collected income is much more in favor of the property investor. And there's two key reasons. Number one, your property manager is encouraged and incentivized to make sure that your property is full, because that's the only way they get paid. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, not just full, with people who will pay. So it's not about filling the property. It's about making sure that you've got tenants that are actually going to pay. We're very motivated when we know that that's how we're getting paid.
Occupied with paying residents. And I think the other benefit of a percentage of rent management fee is the property management company is always incentivized to assure that the rent, the revenue, is being maximized, because that's also how they grow their own revenue. And it's not a sin to have revenue in a business. Frankly, it's how a business survives, right? So I think it's in everybody's best interest to have that percentage of rent management fee. And I know that accountants also like it, because they're able to exactly understand and offset what the expense line items are and why, and break it down as a percentage.
Yeah. Another thing that gets asked also, property management fees are a tax deduction. So they are an expense on this real estate investment business that you're running. So this is something that you're able to expense, so you're not actually paying on it. So it's really important to understand that piece. And I always say, when you are looking for a property manager, and I don't know if we've touched on this before, but you should interview a few of them. And people always think, why would you want me to go and interview other people, Carla, when I'm talking to you? Because I truly believe that you should find the fit that's going to fit best for you and your goals. Your goals may not fit best for my company, and I will be very honest if you're talking to me about that. And it's important that we have that alignment, because choosing a professional property manager is, I don't want to make us sound more than what you might think we are.
I hear a spousal comment coming.
It's like choosing your doctor. I mean, honestly, you want to make sure that this is a partnership, that we understand what your long-term goals are. It is not just about collecting rent and fixing toilets. And that's so important that you understand. But if that is your only goal of what you want for a property manager, then you might not want to look at Real Property Management. You might want to look at another one. So I say go out and research yourself as an investor. Talk to a couple property managers. You will find the one that fits best for you. And being biased, I think I'll probably fit for yourself, Adrian. I think I would make a great property manager for you.
Well, we could have all these conversations and look how far we get. And I agree with you to interview multiple people. I think it's really it's a two-part decision. Number one, it's relational, right? All good things are based on relationships. But the other side of that coin is that the company that you're dealing with must have systems and processes in place to assure that your property is in fact professionally managed. And if you have relationship without process and procedure for your asset, it is destined to fail, which is, I think, why RPM as a national brand, having national standards and processes and systems, is really a good value proposition, because you get the best of the independent, locally owned and operated office with whom you have a relationship, whilst knowing and trusting that the organization as a whole has systems and processes in place that protect the property investor.
And all for 29 cents an hour. Now that's real property management.
Thanks for listening to Canada's Property Management Podcast. If you like this episode, please subscribe and give us a rating, which will help us reach more listeners. Until next time, connect with us on social media and online at realpm.ca.